welcome to Random Gaming Talk. It's Entertainment Talks podcast for video games. I'm your host Matthew. Joining me today, my co-host is Robert. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
Doing all right. Doing good. Got some interesting things to talk about today. What have you been playing?
Mostly Valhalla. I kind of understand your point to that you were talking about to where it's not an Assassin's Creed game really anymore, and I do think I might like it more if that part wasn't part of the game itself. But then if it wasn't part of that game itself, then it would not have the draw initially that it had.
Right.
There hasn't really been a whole lot of Assassin's Creed stuff. It's mostly just me running around doing stuff, which I'm cool with. It's really I'm kind of concerned. Not blah 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 blah. Can't talk today. I'm kind of intrigued as to get to the actual Assassin's Creed part in the game outside the Animus. But I haven't had a trigger yet to do that, so I don't know if I just haven't done enough in the main storyline to get there, or if I'm not tracking the assassins down, which so far I've tracked down all the ones that I could. So
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I'd be interested to see in the live action TV show how much Assassin's Creed stuff they actually do and how much Animus stuff, because they, aside from the film that they made being pretty boring and whatever, which I didn't actually finish, there was a lot of Assassin's Creed stuff in there, and there was because the Animus was entirely different in the film. It was this sort of like thing that picked up Michael Fassbender instead of him laying down in a machine, which is what the characters normally do, like a Matrix style thing. It was just a bit different. But you enjoying it overall though so far?
yeah, overall it's pretty good. It's like one of those things that the story outside the Animus I don't really know that much about because I didn't play Origins or Odyssey.
Hmm.
So I know I'm missing a lot of context, but it's just one of those things that until I can get some triggers going for the that game stuff, I don't really have a way to go.
Yeah,
Um,
it sort of feels like the route that the story's taken from both sides is the actual Assassin's Creed part, so like the ancestor part, is like an anthology now, and
mhm.
then it seems like the actual the modern day story is just been transferred over to Lila, which again they've been going at a snail's pace for years with that. But yeah, in terms of, I don't know that there is much that you need to know from Origins and Odyssey. There might be some stuff later on in Valhalla that you maybe need to, that like comes up to where you need to know certain things, but for the most part, for what I know about the Valhalla story, like the actual Vikings part of it, I don't think you need to know that much about the other two games, but I could be wrong. So
Yeah, and it's more of the out of the anima story. I mean, technically, it's not even an ancestry because, at least from what I gathered of the part that I did see, Lila's not actually related to any of the characters. She just found their DNA and is splicing it into the Animus machine to access it.
yeah, which kind of
So,
which kind of goes against the story idea, because the original story idea is Desmond goes into this thing, learns from his ancestors Ezio and Altair and Connor from Assassin's Creed 3, learns their skills through all the assassin stuff that you do in the old timeline thing, like the olden day timeline thing, and then there was supposed to be the bleeding effect, which is basically where, because he's plugged into this thing and experiencing their life, he learns their skills, and the bleeding effect is those being transferred onto him, like the knowledge and everything that he's learned, not just the assassin skills, but the actual past history of the Assassin's Creed, and then he was supposed to take that into the modern day and use that to kind of win in quotes, which sort of didn't really go anywhere, and that's to me where the story kind of fell apart. Was they did actually do that for 5 games maybe, because they did that in the first one, the second one, Brotherhood, Revelations 3, and maybe one of the other games as well. But those are the games that I remember actually sort of being tied into, that being part of the actual original story idea. So, because I think in the short piece of Valhalla that I played, I think it's Sean or Rebecca, one of the two of them, does mention to Lila something about the bleeding effect, but it's just not really been used as effectively as what it was with Desmond. So
mhm.
again, I don't know what they're doing with the story now, so which has made me lose kind of my interest. That's everything you've been playing, roughly?
Yeah, I did purchase Star Wars Squadron because they're doing a week-long early Black Friday sale, and it was down to $20. So I went ahead and grabbed it. It just hasn't shown up yet.
Okay, cool. So look forward to that when that arrives. Returned to Call of Duty after 2 weeks away. Nothing about the game like sort of pushed me away from it. I just wanted to play other stuff, and was playing Watch Dogs, and of course Assassin's Creed and other things. It was very, very weird because for a game that I've been playing for a year, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, I'd sort of lost all my muscle memory. Not like forgotten the controls, I knew the controls obviously, but that sort of muscle memory of like just the actual flow of the game had sort of gone, and that was a very, very strange experience to go back in after 2 weeks and like remember how to play the game, but like my muscle memory of certain ways to aim with certain guns, certain ways that you can use equipment and things like that, like certain little tricks and things maybe. Most of it was kind of gone. It's sort of come back now because I've played a few hours and stuff. It was actually a bit weird as well because I found one of my teammates online last night. I invited him and he didn't know who I was. So yeah, maybe people are starting to forget me after just 2 weeks. I did play with somebody this morning on the game, and they recognised me. So not everybody's forgotten me, which is good. Kind of noticed, speaking of just Call of Duty in general, it does on your friends list say like who's playing Cold War. Not many people actually are, and one of my teammates who bought the game and decided to start playing it said that it just wasn't very good. I'm seeing some like complaints about Cold War Online. It's just really basic. It doesn't really do anything special. There's like problems with the game and stuff. And I didn't actually look into it, but there was this post about a Reddit thread of where people are like complaining about the game and stuff. So I don't know all of the problems that the game has got. It just sort of seems like the general consensus is that Black Ops Cold War is just sort of boring to people. Which I don't know, when you take the Cold War era and then you take the Modern Warfare era, at least to me the Modern Warfare era is so much more interesting and just so much better. I remember when I played the beta, the very, very limited amount of the beta for Cold War that I played, and it just seemed very bland and very basic. So that seems to be the consensus for the games. So or for this new game. So it seems like most of my friends, because remember I said months ago, didn't I, about when the PS5 was going to come out, and like I wasn't quite sure what to do, and I didn't want to play two different Call of Duty games. It seems like the majority, so like maybe 90%, at least when I looked online last night, mostly everybody was on Modern Warfare still. So I'm not planning to get Cold War anytime soon. I both don't really want to play it, and it seems like my friends who I played the game with, they've not really, like, a few people have kind of hopped between the game, or some people have gone over to Cold War, but very, very, very few seem to have actually done that, so we'll see. But yeah, I guess that's kind of my dilemma solved with that, which is just stick to Modern Warfare and keep playing that with certain people. The one really disappointing thing that I came back to was, I remember when I came off the game 2 weeks ago, actually 2 weeks before that, so about a month ago, they'd done an update for the game, and somehow they patched out the ability. I think I talked about this on the podcast. They patched the ability in Cyberpunk to revive your teammates. It's not in there anymore, and I came back and I thought, oh, surely there's like a little update or they've patched it in. No, it's still not back in the game. I was talking to a few different people yesterday about the situation, and they said, oh, with the new update it will arrive, and I was like, what, as if it's like a new feature or something? Like, it just, yeah, it's a bit weird. But other than that, the game is working fine. I haven't really had any lag problems or anything. It's just the one little thing that's kind of not been patched back into the game. So yeah, that's pretty much the situation with that. Started Watch Dogs Legion, was it the weekend or something? Just before the weekend, I think, maybe on Friday, I got the game. I'm enjoying it quite a lot. It's quite good, and it is kind of both fun, cool, and sort of surreal to be playing a game based in London. It's based in like a futuristic version of London where I remember before when they said about the plot of the game, it was supposed to be like a post-Brexit sort of thing. It's not really post-Brexit. Like, this hack thing has sort of happened. I don't want to go too deep into the story and everything, but Brexit's not even like mentioned yet in the game, at least not from what I've sort of noticed. It's basically this this group did something. I don't want to say who they did it to or why they did it or whatever. And basically, the government decided to be like extreme and ruthless and everything, and start having drones and like armed soldiers and things like that to not really protect London, but sort of yeah, sort of just take it over, I guess is the word I may be looking for. And it's kind of strange to, because we don't really have, I mean, people have guns in this country, but not really like as much as what America kind of does and stuff. And it's kind of strange to go around a London that I recognize and see like drones and futuristic cars and police that now have like the army sort of armor and things like that, and they have machine guns and things. It's kind of strange. And if you look around in the game and everything, by the underground stations and everything, which you can use for fast travel basically, which is quite good. They do like face scans on people and stuff, and it's like the government in 2020 wouldn't be. First of all, even if they said they were going to do something like that, they probably wouldn't. They probably fail at doing it. But yeah, it's kind of surreal to walk around a London in a game that's sort of like that. But there's a London Eye, there's Big Ben, there's taxis and things like that. The mistake I kind of made as well, because I've played so many American games and I'm used to driving on the right side. I don't know if you know this, but over here we drive, when you're driving, well, forward, you drive on the left side. Because you have it on the right side over there, don't you, when you're driving on the road. So we have it we have it changed over. So I got into the car for like the first time and I was like, wait, why is the traffic coming towards me? I was like, oh yeah, this is based in the UK. And I had to change over to the other side of the road, which I should have kind of remembered because I live in this country. But just in terms of a video game, getting into a car, I'm just so used to being on the right side of the traffic. But that was pretty cool. Found Piccadilly there as well, which is still modelled really well. I think I've mentioned this before. Piccadilly is a map that's also on Call of Duty, so in both games it's modelled pretty well. So I would say if I was going to sort of give a sort of grade to this game, it's an above average game. It's got some things that don't really work. It's got some things that are quite fun. I'm having a lot of fun with the game. It's not like blowing me away. It's not like the game of the generation or anything like that. It's a pretty above average sort of game. In terms of the recruitment thing, which is the new sort of feature for this game, basically what you've got is kind of a little bit what I predicted, which is that your main story characters are kind of behind the computer in their base kind of thing, so they can't really, well, they might die in cutscenes or whatever, like some of them do, some of them don't, and that sort of thing. You walk around basically as a red shirt character, and you go through the street and recruit people. You have to do missions in order to get them to join DedSec, so you can't just kind of walk up the street and spam the recruit button and recruit like 30 people to your team. You have to do missions, and they have things that like they're not happy about the government that they've done, things that they've done to them, and you kind of say like, hey, I'm from DedSec and we can help you out. And after you've done the mission, they kind of thank you and everything, and then they usually join DedSec. There's actually people that when you highlight a NPC player, it says like a thumbs up or a thumbs down as to whether they do or don't actually like DedSec. So you can still recruit those people, but it just takes a bit more effort, sort of thing. Any questions about Watch Dogs or anything?
No, I mean that's where we were kind of thinking where the story would go on that.
Yeah.
So I'm not overly shocked at that. Speaking of driving, yeah, that would make sense because I can't imagine, especially this year, that you actually have gotten out and driven anywhere so much. So it's probably easy to forget about that. You have heard the theory as to why it's flip-flopped with the driving.
Why is that?
Because England in that area, mounted combat, jousting, that kind of thing, people are predominantly right-handed. So you're going to want somebody on your right to do that. Whereas in the States, it was more, we're already in the gun era. And so you're on the left because you want the driver as basically a human shield to where you're shooting anybody from the passenger side. That's why the passenger side is called shotgun. You call shotgun to claim dibs on that, is because that's where the person with the shotgun would be fending off the bandits.
Right. Yeah, because you also have the steering wheel on the other side, don't you? I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, because you have yours on the left, we have ours on the right. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's a bit changed over, but yeah, I mean, I'd like more games to be set in London and in different parts of London as well. We're not as anywhere near as big as America, but you can set it in like Scotland or Newcastle or down in Wales somewhere, because this is like central London where like Big Ben and everything is. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, I'm enjoying the game. It's not like fantastic, but I'm having a lot of. It's always been fun, no matter which Watch Dogs game it is, whether it's 1, 2, or Legion. I've always had fun like hacking stuff and like distracting people, and it's always quite satisfying. Like if someone's shooting at you or something, and there's a car near them, and like trying to hack that car and get it to like crash into them or something, or setting like explosive traps for people. Watch Dogs has always been really really fun with that, so I've enjoyed that side of the game as well. So yeah, and especially like if you're in a chase and stuff, like a car chase, and you're trying to drive away from an enemy or something, and you can like change your car to drive in their way, or like do something else like that, or raise the barriers or something. That's always been quite fun. So yeah, I've enjoyed it. It's been pretty good so far. Don't know how long I've got left of the game, but I do want to finish it soon because there's a lot of games to play at the moment, and Cyberpunk is coming out soon. So that's everything we've been kind of playing. Let's move into some housekeeping. We'll see you for that in a second. Hi there, and thanks very much for listening. Today I'm here to tell you about our 2 different affiliate links, the first of which is our Amazon affiliate link. That's where you can shop on Amazon. We can get a small cut of what you spend, but it won't cost you anything extra. So whether you're getting a gift for somebody else or treating yourself, or maybe both depending on the occasion, we can get a small cut of what you spend, but it won't cost you extra. You can find the link to our Amazon affiliate link in your show notes. The second affiliate link for today is our Kualu affiliate link. If you want to get started with a website and a domain name of your choice, you can simply sign up with Kualu using the link in the show notes. They also have a live chat support system that's in the bottom right hand corner as well. So if you need help with getting set up, Kualu will be able to help you with that as well. The links for both of these can be found in your show notes for Kualu and the Amazon affiliate link. If you would like to get the ad-free versions of Entertainment Talks podcast and support us along the way, you can simply sign up over on our Patreon page. You can sign up either as a creator or as a patron. There's no difference there for the time being, and you can get your ad-free podcasts over there. It's a great way to support us on Entertainment Talk and to get rid of the ads and get your ad-free podcasts. You can also support Entertainment Talk on Patreon at the $3 level tier. This gets you a chance to request a review from us of your favourite TV show or film, but it's 1 per month, so 1 TV show or film review per month. It's up to you which one you want to choose. We will watch a few episodes of the TV show that you choose, or of course if it's a film, we'll just watch that film and we will review that for you on that month. And then when it gets to the next month, you can request a new TV show or a film review of your choice. That's $3 level tier. That does also of course include your ad-free podcasts for the month as well. Thank you very much for listening and enjoy the rest of the show. Alright, recently on Entertainment Talk, what have we got here? Let me just scroll down the website. Fear the Walking Dead has now finished for its mid-season finale. It will be back at some point next year. We know when the main show will be back, which is the 1st of March or the 28th of February if you're in the States. But Fear the Walking Dead has got 9 episodes for its second half of season 6, and I'll be back in some point in 2021, whenever that's going to be, to talk about that. But season 6, episode 7, in the mid-season finale, I covered that yesterday. Let's Play Sundays 62, which is the co-op video that me and Robert did for Fall Guys, so that was pretty fun to do, and there'll be more episodes coming out soon for Let's Play Sundays. United Cast is back, Premier League football is back, for better and for worse I suppose. But Manchester United beat West Brom 1-0 at home. We beat a team 1-0 at home who haven't won a game all season. We did it through a penalty. Not a very good performance, but 3 points is 3 points, I suppose. Manchester United do play against Istanbul, the Turkish team, tonight in the Champions League. That is the 4th out of the 6 Champions League group stage games, so I'll be back later tonight to discuss whatever happens in that game. Did a podcast about the Last of Us TV series, the HBO upcoming TV series, and 4 reasons to be excited. There'll probably be more reasons in the future, but for now, 4 reasons particularly to be excited. It has been greenlit and ordered the series, so we will be getting a HBO Last of Us TV series adapted. It was in development like a few months ago, and they've now ordered it to series and greenlit it. Nobody's been cast as Ellie or Joel yet, but I'm sure that process is ongoing. So I talked about that. Analyzing television, did 2 episodes of those. The fifth one is talking about Disney Plus's weird reboot strategy. There is quite a lot of reboots planned for Disney Plus. I find that particularly strange given everything that they own, and they don't really need to reboot these things, but they are. Why is that happening? And talking about the whole situation around that, and listing a few different properties that are getting rebooted for Disney Plus. Did the podcast I meant to do a long time ago. I mentioned it on this podcast. How Last of Us 2 and Crash Bandicoot 4 helped me, and what those games kind of mean to me and stuff. I think it was before Crash Bandicoot 4 came out. I was going to do that podcast about Last of Us, but I wanted to include Crash Bandicoot 4 in that little conversation. So if you want to hear about that, you can do as well. There's no spoilers for either game in that podcast because there was no need to get into any spoilers. Analyzing television episode 4 talked about season and episode lengths. What's a good length of a TV season, how it differs between networks and streaming services, which differs quite a lot. You got advertising that's in some stuff, not in other things, etc. And also talked about episode lengths. What's a good length for an episode, and how does that kind of fit into a season, that sort of thing. So I talked about all of that. Star Trek Discovery is still continuing, season 3 episode 6, one of the best episodes for the whole series, not just for this season but one of the for the whole series. Really enjoyed that. That's continuing on Fridays. And then of course last week on Gaming Talk we talked about Next Gen being here, and PS5, Xbox Series S and X. And then we also talked about the Game Awards nominations for 2020, with Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima dominating those. And then of course we do have the Walking Dead World Beyond podcast. Tomorrow we'll be having a look at season 1 episode 8, so check in with that tomorrow as well. But that's everything we've been doing on entertainmenttalk.org and on podcast platforms. What would you like to talk about this week?
Well, first up, we've got a news announcement. Twitch co-founder Kevin Lin is decided to leave the company. He was a co-founder who served as the streaming platform's chief operating officer from 2008 to 2018. He thanked everybody at Twitch, gave the constant answer we always seen, spend more time with my family, spend time on other project. He does say he's going to continue exploring a world where technology is a positive amplifier in our life. I will build again. The founding members, Kevin Lin, Emmett Shear, Justin Can, Kyle Voigt, and Michael Seibel, officially rebranded Justin TV into Twitch back in 2011. And of course, Amazon bought them in 2014 for $1 billion. So
That seems
no
pretty
worries.
cheap now.
Now, yeah, but
Now
at the
it does,
time
yeah.
it was a big investment.
Yeah.
So obviously he's not going to be hurting for cash anytime soon.
No.
And I'm wondering how much of this is involved with the insanity that has been going on with Twitch right now. I don't know if you follow Twitch
I've
news a
seen
whole
some
lot.
stuff. Yeah.
Basically, what it is that for whatever reason, there's a mass, like a glut of DMCA strikes for Twitch right now. Like one article I read said up until 2020, they were averaging 50 to 60 a year. Now they're averaging 1,000 to 1,200 a week.
Wow.
And they've come up with some really dumb takes too. Like we didn't talk about it because I didn't think it that worthy, but since he's leaving, somebody tweeted at their account saying, "Hey, Cyberpunk's coming out in a month. What do we do? How are we going to protect ourselves?" And their response was, "Mute your game audio."
What?
Yeah,
Well,
mute.
that doesn't work.
Yeah, and it doesn't get any better than that because even though some content creators like Tim the Tatman, who we talked about last week,
Hmm.
literally deleted 8 years worth of VODs, completely emptied out his back catalog in fear of a DMCA strike, which you don't even really get a whole lot of notification as to why or the ability to really counter it. You just get three strikes and your channel shut down.
Hmm.
And the irony of that is that you can delete it, but technically that data is still on the server, so they can still issue a strike for a deleted video.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's a tricky world, copyright strikes and that sort of thing. Throughout my history of making content on Twitch, YouTube, and the website and the iTunes feeds and that, across all four of those things, so Twitch, YouTube, iTunes, and then website, although the website's mine anyway, I've only ever had, I think, two copyright strikes on videos. I think that was for when I did a FIFA stream like 2 years ago or something, and there was like music in there, and that got caught for that. Um, and all it said was like this video won't be available in some countries, and that was basically it. I've never had a message about like a DC. Is it DCMA? I think that's what it's called, isn't it?
Digital Millennial Copyright Act,
Yeah,
DMCA.
the MCA then. Yeah. Yeah, I've never had like any messages or emails about anything like that. Um,
And
and
see, the
it,
problem is that you can make a claim without specifying timestamp, what the item is, and why you have the rights to it. You can just say strike and just throw a strike against somebody's channel.
Yeah, yeah. See, it's funny because like with the Pez streams that I've been doing lately, which both do go on Twitch and on YouTube, they have music in those games. There's like music in the menus and that sort of thing. Um, and I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm lucky because I haven't had any like strikes or anything. Because I've seen some stuff on Twitter about people getting messages saying like, hey, if you get one more strike, your channel will be like permanently deleted, which is just crazy to even think about. So yeah, I'm pretty lucky on that front. I don't know why that has happened to me. I haven't had many or any sort of strikes or anything, but I guess it's a good thing at the end of the day. 'Cause I don't think it's down to like, okay, sure, I'm not the most popular content creator in on the internet, but the content's still there. So I don't know, but I guess that's a good thing that I haven't been sort of striked for anything. Yeah, I mean, if you've been working for Twitch and which is tied into Amazon and all that, I'm sure you have been fairly well paid and stuff. I mean, that might not be completely true throughout the whole company, but it's just kind of my assumption based on how well those two things have done, especially Amazon as well, because, with all the Prime stuff that they get and, the streaming service and everything else. So, I
Hmm.
mean, your company has to be doing pretty darn well if you've got a full, like, television studio, your own streaming service, where you've spent a lot of money, and then you've got like Amazon warehouses, your own delivery service, your own Amazon website, that sort of thing. That is definitely not cheap to run. So, yeah, they've done very very well, obviously. So, yeah, good luck to him. I'm sure it is just sometimes it's just a case of these people want to move on, do something else, and yeah, I know you kind of always get the cliche statement about I just want to spend time with my family and stuff and that sort of thing. Might just be true. I know it sounds very cliched that they want to do that, but actors do the same thing, and these things just kind of happen. So sometimes people forget that. Sure, there's you got actors and you got people that work at game studios and that sort of thing. These people are still humans that do have children and families at the end of the day. They're not just machines that film stuff or make stuff all the time. They do have lives outside of that. So it's important to remember those sorts of things. Because it's interesting with just a sort of side example, Melissa Benoist, who plays Supergirl, which is going to be ending next season, and one of the reasons is because she's going to be she's either had or going to have a child with Chris Wood, who was in the show as well. Not Chris Wood, sorry. The guy that she's with now, I can't remember his name, played Mon-El in the show. She's leaving to like go and raise her child and stuff, and people are like, oh, but she can still come back and work on the show. It's like she's been doing it for 6 years. Just let her move on and raise a family. She's a human being at the end of the day, so it's just important to
Hmm.
remember those things. So these people are not machines. Same with me and you. We have families, we have other things that we do outside of podcasting. So that is life. But I think that pretty much covers that. What else did you want to talk about today?
Well, we'll stick on DMCA because we've got a late and surprise entry of Dick Move of the Year by a company. This one's
Stiff
actually
competition.
Nintendo, believe it or not. Yeah,
Stiff competition. This
pun intended.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I was waiting to see if you get that. Yeah, so Twitch streamers in non-US countries got Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity early because for whatever reason the US launch date was the 20th, but various countries like Australia, Europe, and Japan release date earlier, which makes sense. It's a Japanese company. It makes sense it's going to come out in Japan first.
Mhm.
And so they were streaming the game as you do, and they started receiving DMCA takedowns for a game that they purchased or got. However, it's not a banned game. It just they were doing it a couple 3 days ahead of the U.S. release, and they got hit with strikes. And these aren't just like randos either. Twitch partner Linkus7 and Nintendo brand ambassador Miss Kylie are among the numerous people who received strikes.
Nintendo doesn't hold
And
back.
it's literally just they did it ahead of the U.S. release. It's not playing copyrighted music. It's not that kind of thing. It's just they did it
Hmm.
early relative to the U.S. And this is not new. Nintendo's had a long history of not liking streamers.
Yeah, it's not a good history
Like for the
either.
longest time, yeah, for like the longest time, if you were like a YouTuber or a streamer and you were using Nintendo content for each video, you had to give half the revenue back to Nintendo. That's why you didn't see that kind of content
Hmm.
until
And
very, very
it's not
recently.
like they've not made millions off of the actual sale of that game or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, I did look up, by the way, is Chris Wood the guy that I was talking about? Because she had her ex as well that she's not with anymore. I couldn't remember if it was his name or the other guy's name, but it is Chris Wood. So just to clear that up. Yeah, Nintendo has had a very weird and bad history, let's be honest, about just striking people on Twitch or YouTube or whatever. It's just kind of interesting to me because you mentioned a Nintendo ambassador in there. That sort of
Hmm.
sounds to me like the equivalent of, let's say today, Marcus Rashford. Let's say he got like a new Man United kit or like Man United face masks or something, which you can actually get, by the way. And he made like a video showing them off, and then Man United themselves went and like striked the video. That sort of sounds like that kind of equivalent. I know he doesn't, well, technically sort of works for Nintendo, I guess, but he's very, he's connected to the company at least and sort of does things for them. But that is very, very strange. It never really seems like, because obviously people have called Nintendo out in the past for doing this sort of thing, but it never really feels like Nintendo's tried to control it or tried to cut down on it. They've just sort of, this is just my perspective of it. It seems like they've just kind of bluntly ignored what's been going on, because this has been going on for a very, very long time. Nintendo's history with doing this sort of thing, and it just continues here. What do you think of the situation?
Yeah, I mean the DMCA stuff is nuts. I mean we didn't talk about this when it happened earlier, but Herman Lee, who is the lead guitar player for Dragon Force, had his Twitch account with a 7-day ban for playing Dragon Force songs on Twitch,
Mm,
and he's a member of Dragon Force. Now he just plays Among Us, which the world's going insane, dude.
yeah, I think that happened a little while ago. Yeah, so. Alright, that's that from Nintendo. What else did you want to talk about today?
The third thing I have, and unfortunately we're still on this DMCA thing because, of course, we are.
That's the world that we live in.
We had a Night City Wire last week, the final one they announced until the game launches, and they were adamant in the Night City Wire that the game has gone, that the December 10th date will not change, because they said that repeatedly in there.
Hmm.
This Night City Wire focused on music and the various bands, a lot of them, independent, a lot of them original tracks, things like that. They also talked about DMCA and music, and they said that there is a toggle and a setting feature in the game to disable copyright music. This will not disable all games. It'll just flag uh, songs in the game that they think could be subject to a strike, and then just take those out of the playlist.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh,
it's kind of got me thinking a little bit, right? You know that guy, I can't remember his name. You know the guy from Stadia the other week that said about like, oh, you should pay like a license fee on top of the fee for
oh
buying.
yeah, that idiot.
Yeah.
I
When
don't know
he's
his name, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, when he said all that about like you should not only buy the game, which costs sometimes $60, because you can buy games for cheaper than that, obviously, if they've been out for a while or whatever the case may be. If you buy a $60 video game or $70, as some of them are now, because we're in the next generation, and then pay a license fee on top of that, and then people that included me said like, well, you shouldn't really have to do that because you're essentially giving free advertising to this game, because if viewers come and watch you play the game, they think it looks cool, they'll go and buy it, and then you've done the advertising job for them. I sort of feel like with music that the same thing probably should apply, because people go and look up music from games that they've heard, or they hear a cool song that kind of clicks with them, that's happened in maybe a cool moment of a game, and then they'll go and maybe listen to that. It sort of feels like the same. It sort of feels like the same should apply with music, that you shouldn't really get copyright striked or whatever, DCMA or DMCA striked for that, because you kind of doing the same thing for the music, which is giving that free advertising as well. I might be wrong with that, but yeah, at least they've got the. I mean, that's muting copyrighted music just by toggling a button is much better than, because they what was it? Someone said mute the game audio, which
Yeah.
that includes things like dialogue, which is important depending on what part of the story you're in, or sounds from the game and sound design and that sort of stuff. So yeah, this is my argument aside, this is a significantly better option than just mute your game audio. Because what you're supposed to do if you're a Twitch streamer, right? You're playing a game, you're in a dialogue scene that has maybe some lighter music in there. That music is copyrighted, and you're being told mute your game audio, which means that the dialogue that you're getting, which is probably quite important to what's happening in the game, would get muted as well. So yeah, definitely a better option, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, with audio, it's always really kind of tricky
Mm.
because for streaming services like Spotify or whatever they are, the artists don't get a whole lot of money when those are streamed. They get like a pittance. It's nothing. And most of the artists don't even own the rights to the songs that they create. Those usually, depending on how the contract is and how famous the musician is, a lot of the times those music rights are owned by either the studio or the producer or somebody else that bought them away from that. There was somebody who got pissed off the other day because the rights to their songs were sold off without being informed of it and without having the chance to buy them back. That was actually a really interesting beef a long time ago in the mid 80s. Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney collaborated on a song together,
Mm-hmm.
and Paul McCartney was talking about trying to buy back the rights to the Beatles songs, and then Michael Jackson just turned around and went, mine, and bought them.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's a strange situation with all this copyright strikes and
Yeah.
whatever else. So
And
yeah.
Cyberpunk's been a lot of up and down with their reputation and things going on with everything. So they did post in their on their blog post, Cyberpunk will feature a beautiful, robust original score created by our in-house composers. So as an aside, you shouldn't have to worry about those songs. In addition, you'll be able to listen to over 150 songs created by wonderful artists representing diverse genres, and we are confident that you will love the music played in the in-game radio. If you run into any problems with a DMCA notice, despite having the toggle on, please email us, and then they provide an email address. We will try to best help you as best we can.
Hmm.
So at least they're giving him an avenue other than going to Twitch, who's not going to do anything at all.
Right. Right.
So a little bit of good public will there. So
Yeah. Yeah. Seems like a better option, certainly. I want to tie my Cyberpunk stuff into here, seeing as we're on the topic of the game, and then we can go back to the rest of your stuff. Cyberpunk, I don't need to say 2077 every single time. We all know what game I'm talking about. Cyberpunk copies are now in retail. There's been various photos on social media, Facebook, Twitter, or whatever you use these days, TikTok, Snapchat, everything else. There's about 50 of them. Yeah, they're now on retail. There's been certain photos taken of them. The install size for the PS4 version, at least, because someone took a photo of a copy of Cyberpunk in a shop somewhere, and they said that this version of the game, so the PS4 version of Cyberpunk, will be around 70 gigabytes, which I think is a good size actually. I was actually expecting it to be a little bit bigger than that. The game will also have the option to turn off nudity, which is interesting. But yeah, the size of the game, did you expect it to be around that, something a little bit bigger? I expected it to be a little bit bigger, possibly.
Yeah, I figured it would top out over 100, and maybe
Yeah,
when the enough people get the Series X or the Series S or the PS5 to where they can do that higher resolution and higher frame
right.
rate, it might top off on that.
Yeah, that would make
Um,
sense, yeah.
yeah, game size is going to be huge. One of the QR guys from CD Projekt Red was having an interaction with Twitter, and somebody said, "How realistically, how big can we have this game?" And so all he did was tweet out a picture of his in-game time, and it was like 175 hours. And they asked, "Are you 100% done?" He's like, "Nope." But being a QA guy, it's not like he's playing it, to 100% or platinum or to,
Yeah.
do the thing. He's probably doing like the same quest like 7, 8 times in a row, trying to force a bug crash.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what you do in QA is you have a section
Try
you
and break your
play,
own game. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and try to get it to work. But still, if I had to ballpark it, my theory is that the main story is probably going to be 30 to 40 hours, and then all the side stuff, who knows?
That's pretty long for a main story.
I've seen a lot longer.
Hmm.
I mean, not counting.
Witcher 3 is pretty long.
Yeah,
So going along with the same developer, that kind of makes sense. Last of Us 2 took an average of 20 to 25 hours. I did mine in about 22. Some people did their main story in like 40. They must have really been searching every corner. Which fair
yeah, and
enough, you know.
that's the thing with like games like Last of Us 2. There's not a whole lot of open world exploration. It's a very tunnel focused game, which is fine. Those
Hmm.
have a place along with everything else. But
Yeah.
this game from the start has been designed to be just this massive world where everything's interactive and everything is doable, and that'll really pad out the time.
Hmm.
My hope is that there isn't just a lot of stupid collectibles. That annoys me for padding in games. Is just like collect 1,000 bird feathers or collect 100 acorns or whatever.
Yeah. How long would you say Ghost took you to finish? Ghost of Tsushima.
I honestly don't know because I played it in chunks. I play like, an hour here, 2 hours there. I'm
Mm.
sure there's a way to check that. I know with Xbox, I can just pull up the Xbox app and it'll show me. But I honestly don't know. I would have to ballpark it like 2025 probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't really
So,
do a whole lot of collectible hunting. I just got it to the point to where my gear, I didn't have to worry about a few things, and then I just kind of let it go from there.
yeah. But in terms of size of the game, yeah, so that's 70 gigs. That isn't like completely fully confirmed, I suppose. This is just some guy in a retail store. And it could change between now and the 10th. We don't completely know, but it's around 70 gigabytes, I guess. And that's, the rough guess of a PS4 game these days. So yeah, like we talked about last week, NBA 2K21 on PS5, so the next gen systems, is 150. Call of Duty Modern Warfare on PS4 is 182, but 100 of that pretty much is Warzone. And then yes, Cyberpunk is 70 on PS4. I think Last of Us 2 is around 70 something on PS4 as well. So, what do you think of the option to turn off nudity in Cyberpunk?
I'm glad it's there. I honestly don't know how much that'll get used, but I've always been a fan of more options to control what you see, especially in terms of like this game is going to be streamed a lot,
Yeah.
and nudity is a big no-no in on Twitch platforms. So
Hmm.
I think they obviously had streaming in mind when they were setting up some of the game options.
Yeah. It's good to do that for like, one of the most popular games of the year.
Mhm.
So, I mean, to me, I don't know if this is like my age and me getting, well, we're all getting slightly older as time ticks on, because that's just how time works. I kind of want to be told more mature stories. Now, what I mean by that is I don't require, sex and violence or adult content to be in games, but if your story is going to have that and it's going to play a part in that story, I want that to be left in. because I've said before with even with things like Ghost, if you took all the blood out of like Ghost of Tsushima or all of the cult stuff, like if you censored that in Last of Us 2, you do get the same story, but maybe not just with this quite the same effect. I do think that if you censor certain things, I'm not saying like if is it I can't remember is it Jin? Yeah, the main guy from Ghost is called Jin, isn't he? I'm not saying like if he goes to behead someone, it has to cut away from that scene in terms of censorship. Censorship. I'm just talking about like if he goes to stab someone or something like that, and there's no blood, that's like censorship that doesn't really work for me. Or if every time in Last of Us 2 one of the cult characters went to do something and the camera just cuts to Ellie or something, so you can kind of maybe hear the violence or screaming or something, but you wouldn't see it. I think that in a story where it has a more, not a better effect necessarily, but more of an effect, more of a kind of immersive effect, you need to leave that stuff in the game because it's part of the world, isn't it? Like you look at something like Last of Us 2 and all the you're already in a post-apocalyptic world, like with the first one. Then you add these cults and all these new types of infected and stuff. There's a lot of violence just in that on its own. I don't think Cyberpunk will maybe be as violent as that. It doesn't seem like they're. I mean, this is more of like a fun technology kind of sci-fi kind of game, but still, if there's parts in the game where like you've got a sword blade and you've stabbed someone through the chest, or maybe you do decapitate someone in Cyberpunk, or if there's a sex scene or something and the characters are naked, I kind of just want that left in there because it's just part of the world, and I want to be told or not be told more mature stories, but if the story is intended to be like that, then I want that left in. So I'm going to leave the option off, I suppose. What are you going to choose?
I haven't really decided yet. That's one of those things that I got to see the game in action more and see if it's really going to affect the story or if it's just there for the sake of being there.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about this a couple times on different podcasts. It's not, the sex or the violence that I have issues with. It's just the gratuitous nature of it. Is it there for the sake of being in there, or is it relative to the story?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of blood and guts in Valhalla, but it
Yeah,
was
that's what Vikings are like. So
Middle Ages. Well,
yeah,
that's what Vikings are like. That's what that age was like. It was
yeah,
not a peaceful time of dandelions and buttercups and singing with forest animals. It was a violent, brutal time.
mm-hmm.
Same with ghosts. That was not the most peaceful era either. So that plus it was during a Mongol invasion. So a bit of violence there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, yeah, if
But
you're
then
making
you get a movie like
go on.
go ahead.
Yeah,
I was going to say then you get a movie like Kill Bill, and that's just blood and gore for the sake of blood and gore.
yeah. I mean, if you're making an 18 rated, or I suppose you call it R rated over there, if you're making an 18 rated story about Vikings, you got to expect some adult, mature content in there, whether it is nudity or sex or it is violence and stuff. Because again, if someone goes to like throw an axe at someone in Valhalla and the camera cuts away to someone who's like, there's not anything violent going on there, then you are censoring the story in a way. Whether or not, let's say someone has an axe thrown at them in Valhalla, and then for the sake of the story and maybe an emotional thing, you cut over to a character who's maybe having an emotional reaction to that. That kind of makes a little bit more sense. But if you're doing it just to like, quick cut away from the axe that's about to fly into someone's head, then that's kind of censorship. So again, it depends on the story, the character, the situation. To me, so we shall see.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm ready to be told another mature story with Cyberpunk, with probably quite a lot of fun. So we shall see. Let's go back over to you. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about? 'Cause that's pretty much the
Yeah,
Cyberpunk stuff.
I have one more story. A new studio is being founded in Quebec, Canada. It's called Yellow Brick Games. You're not going to see a game out from them for a while because they literally just formed and they're still in the process of hiring staff. But the founders have quite the resume in it. The four founding members are going to be Thomas Giroux, who was with Ubisoft and worked on both Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs. Jeff Skalski, who is a same pedigree, Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed.
Are those
Frederick,
the first games? Watch Dogs 1 and Assassin's Creed 1?
that's the series they worked
Okay,
on.
alright,
They worked
yeah.
on multiple games for the series. Frederic Saint Laurent B, same pedigree. But the big draw for this studio is going to be Mike Laidlaw. He spent 14 years with EA and BioWare, worked on Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age 2, Dragon Age Inquisition, Mass Effect, and Jade Empire.
Hmm.
So that's quite the resume for a game company. Like I said, they don't have any games out yet. They're not going to have any games out soon because they formed this year. But they said they want to get back to basics when it comes to gaming. So I will hopefully we'll see something in a couple 3 years that's just going to blow us away.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you got Dragon Age meets Assassin's Creed meets Watch Dogs, which is a fairly good combination. You got some different genres in there, and that sort of thing. Yeah, a few people then have left Ubisoft and stuff, which is interesting. But you know, like we said earlier with the guy from Twitch, people move on and work on different games. These things happen. I mean, after Last of Us 2 came out, some people did leave Naughty Dog and they went to, I think it was some Microsoft studio or something. People just move around. It's not always because the company's bad or whatever. Sometimes they maybe just want to work on, maybe an opportunity has come up for that particular person. They've been contacted by someone, or they just decide to leave the company and start their own studio up. So yeah, good luck to them. It's a competitive industry, certainly, and I wish them well with that. This did kind of make me wonder for a second there, because with Amy Henning, or Henning, yeah, I think that's Amy Henning, who worked on, I think it was Uncharted. I can't remember if she worked on the first Last of Us. Definitely wasn't the second one, but she was like a former Naughty Dog employee, and of course there was all the saga with her and EA and Star Wars when a bunch of Star Wars games got cancelled. She did leave EA to make a new studio. I can't remember if that was this year or last year. I think it might have been last year, but I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of that as well. There's also the other, I think it's a studio in London it's supposed to be, a Sony studio that formed 3 years ago or so. They were rumoured to be, or supposed to be, working on the next Uncharted game, because that news came out. It was definitely after Uncharted 4. I can't remember if it was before Lost Legacy, which came out after, or not. But yeah, there's a few different studios in development, I suppose, from some different people. But I'm curious to see what Amy is going to be working on at a new studio. So yeah, what do you think of people moving around and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean it's inevitable. I mean people
Yeah.
change jobs from time to time. You got creative differences because it's a creative industry with creative people,
Sure.
so that's always going to be a thing. Past that, hard telling, really. I mean, it's just one of those things that until you see the end result, you never know what it's going to be.
hmm Yeah, I mean, you also had, I think I brought it up on last week's podcast, the director of Halo Infinite left, and that game
Hmm.
was delayed. Now, does that mean that he left because Halo Infinite's gone to shit, because it's been delayed, or is it just because maybe he's done his job there, or I don't really know, and so it's in another opportunity? There was someone who was working on, I think it was Horizon, it's Forbidden West, isn't it, the new one? I can't remember if they were the director or someone, but someone left that game as well. That game's obviously, I think it's supposed to be next year, isn't it? We'll see if that actually lands. But it's not always for a bad reason. Sometimes people just want to move on either to different paths in their career, so different studios, or just something else in life. So we'll see how it all works out, I guess, in another couple of years when all these studios that we just mentioned start not bringing games out necessarily, but start showing something of what they've worked on. So we shall see. You said that was the last thing you have to talk about?
Yeah, that's the last one I have.
Cool. The only other thing I've got to talk about, well, there's two other things. I did my Game Awards voting, which you know what I voted for: Last of Us, Crash, Alana Pierce for the is it Content Creator of the Year? I can't remember which category she's in. Yeah, that one, like the Gamer thing of the Year. Voted for Crash 4, voted for Iron Man. I know you're not a big fan of necessarily the Game Awards and stuff. Did you do any voting, or you not doing that?
No, I didn't do any voting. I didn't see the need to.
Okay. But yeah, I did that. So just thought I'd add that in here. I tweeted out all the stuff that I voted on, so if you want to have a look at all that, you can do so on our Twitter. The other news thing I've got to talk about is Red Dead Redemption: The Outlaws Collection has leaked on Amazon. Now this is supposed to be a PS5 Series X game. I can't remember if it was listed for PS4. I think it was. So it might be all 4 platforms of the new ones. It's obviously supposed to be a collection of Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2, and probably of Undead Nightmare, which I haven't actually played. I need to go and do that at some point. This was leaked on Amazon. Usually these things are leaked on like Walmart and stuff, aren't they? For the US.
Hmm.
I remember when there was that big Bethesda leak a couple of years ago, and they made a joke about it at E3. Some people are claiming this to be fake. I don't quite know. I did see the screenshot myself. I didn't actually go and look, but that seems like a collection that makes sense. What do you think? The first and second Red Dead for like new consoles and that?
Yeah, I mean, if this is going to be like an HD upgrade to the first one
Mhm.
and then bring back the DLC, that's cool. Um, I really wish that I could have gotten more into that series than I did. I do own Red Dead 2. I just the story I don't know what it is. It just doesn't click with me. But
Hmm.
that's a me thing. That's not anything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know people are like super into that franchise, and I'm sure they'll be happy that if that's true, if that comes out.
Mhm.
I'm probably gonna pick up the Mass Effect original trilogy thing
Oh, I
because I
am.
am such
Yeah.
a big fan of that. Honestly, a lot of it's just gonna depend on the price to see how much that
Mm.
costs.
Yeah. Hopefully, I'll be able to just rent it, I suppose.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, I mean, this Red Dead collection, the only thing I'd really want from it, because I've played Red Dead 1 and 2, and finished them, and I'm done with both games pretty much, is for the Undead Nightmare thing. If it is on there, I didn't quite see it listed. Again, if this thing is even true. Um, but yeah, if I could play that on my PS4, or if it comes out later to a point where I do have a PS5, which I'm not planning on getting at the moment, then I'll go and play Undead Nightmare on either the PS4 or 5. That's cool to me. So it feels a bit weird at the moment with the PS5 because everyone's like, "Oh, I'm really trying to get hold of one," and there's scalpers online that are selling them and stuff. And I feel like I don't know if you're on maybe the same boat as me. I just feel like I'm just gonna wait until some point next year until I'm looking forward to getting a shiny new system and one that runs better and has new games eventually on it. But I just haven't quite got I've got no urgency at all to like go out and sort of get one or whatever. How do you feel about that sort of situation at the moment?
Yeah, like I talked about before in the podcast, because of the points that I've built up on Amazon, that's the only way I'm going to be able to afford it is to use those points and pay about half of it with those points. But I don't have to have one right this second.
Mm.
Would I like one? Yes. If I can get it purchased at the normal retail price through Amazon, will I do that? Yes. Do I need to overspend to scalpers? No. Screw those guys.
Mm. Oh yeah, I wouldn't buy one from a scalper, and I'd advise the audience not to do that either. Um, yeah, it feels like that situation where like it will be that shiny new toy type of thing, but I know that I don't need one, so I'm not gonna try and go and get one. So that's all the news that we got. A little bit lighter perhaps on news. We had a lot of Cyberpunk discussion. Obviously, the game's out very soon, very much anticipated. I think it is pretty much almost certain that it will be on December 10th. If they just did a new Night City thing and all that, and I mean sooner or later, how much closer to December 10th can we get before like okay, press have to start getting this game for embargoed reviews and things? Because this isn't like a Spider-Man that you can finish in 6 or 8 hours or something. This is Cyberpunk that needs a lot of coverage. So I think we're pretty much good with December 10th if that does completely happen. Let's move on to some emails and feedback for this week. Of course, if you would like to send in your thoughts, feelings, questions, comments, or maybe concerns about video games or anything related to Entertainment Talk, Matthew at entertainmenttalk.org, Twitter eTalkUK, there's a contact page and information in your show notes. Anita says, have been playing Animal Crossing for a few weeks and loving it. It's been a weird and quiet year for Nintendo. What do you make of it? I'm guessing she's asking us what we make of Nintendo's year so far. Yeah, it's been a bit of a weird one. I've said quite a few times I think on the podcast of like haven't really done many directs this year. If they have, they've been like these mini directs that they've done, which they have labeled as such and said like these are just some indies that we're doing, which indies are great and everything, but they've not really had any really big announcements this year. It feels like the Breath of the Wild 2. We haven't really had an update on. We don't know when the next Mario mainline game is going to come. We did have the live circuit game that came out. We had the 3D All Stars collection, which I have got, by the way. I forgot to mention that. You've got the Hyrule Warriors thing, the prequel Legend of Zelda game, which I have got that as well. I haven't started either of them, but I have got both of those. And Animal Crossing, which has sold a lot of copies and been nominated for Game of the Year. So they've done more with less, I suppose, this year, but they've still, compared to PlayStation and Xbox, I suppose because of maybe new consoles, they've had a significantly quieter year than those two. But what do you make of Nintendo's 2020?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, outside of the fact that third-party publishers are starting to get their games on the Switch, they don't really have a whole lot going on. They do make games every now and then, but that's more of an aside than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
it's not something that their primary focus is.
Yeah, and like I've said in the past as well, I feel like it's getting to that point, especially with the next gen of games, that you're either gonna see older games come to Switch, so like PS3 360 type of games, or like earlier PS4 Xbox One games come to Switch, because these new games and even some of the later gen PS4 Xbox One games are not really going to be able to work very well on the Switch. Unless you get like a Witcher type of situation where, Witcher's a very big demanding game, but they had to scale it down so much that, I'm sure it's still great on the Switch and that, and it's good if you're on the go and everything. But, yeah, they're going to just get to that point where a lot of these new games coming out, they're just not going to work on the Switch very well, if at all. So they got some difficult decisions to make and everything. I think at some point you will have to make an upgraded version of the Switch, and hopefully the Joy-Cons at some point, whether it's like a Switch Pro or something, because there's been rumors for probably a couple of years now about that happening. But I think that maybe within the next year or two, I think that you will probably see a version of that come out. Do you think we might see one of them, like a Switch Pro?
I mean, we've talked about it before on the podcast about the rumors of the Switch Pro.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it eventually that it'll come out. How soon that is, you never know. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But interesting year for Nintendo. Beth says, "Hey Robert, I have been playing that Graveyard Keeper and very much enjoying it. Thanks for the recommendation." She doesn't mention if she got it on Game Pass. I don't know if it's still on Game Pass or if she
It's
bought
not.
it, or okay, she must have maybe she brought it, or maybe no, she wouldn't have been able to play it if it's not on Game Pass. So I'm assuming that she brought it. Yeah, somebody likes a game that you recommended for them.
Yeah, like I said, it came out of nowhere. It's not on Game Pass, but I think it's part of the Black Friday Cyber Monday sale that's going on right now with the Xbox. So I don't know about PS4 or PS5. I don't know if it's on that platform or not. I don't think it isn't.
I don't know.
I know that's kind of a roundabout way to say that, but as far as I know, it's not exclusive to the Microsoft console. So I just found it on Game Pass. So
yeah, that's a game that could easily work on Switch as well. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Again, it's weird with Switch because okay, you can get Witcher 3 running on Switch. Like a very scaled down version. So whenever we do look at these smaller games, things like Graveyard Keeper, and go, oh yeah, that will work on the Switch. That's not too demanding. You still manage to get Witcher 3 on there. So yeah, it's an interesting situation. Harrison finishes off the episode, says, "Hey fellas, hope you are well. We both are doing well. Thank you very much. Been gaming a lot with my son lately, but want to invest some time in TV with him. Any recommendations?" I'm not saying this in any sort of sarcastic way, but there is a little service called Disney Plus, which is available, I think worldwide now. I have heard that it's been like recently released in like Brazil and that sort of stuff, but yeah, you should have it available to you. Obviously, Mandalorian's a good example. They've got just tons of family friendly. I mean, the whole service pretty much is family friendly, isn't it? So,
yeah, it definitely is. And there's a ton of stuff, especially a ton of archive stuff that.
Yeah,
but especially for you, Matt, you would never would have seen the '90s Spider-Man cartoon. That's really good.
That's on there.
Disney did a series called Gargoyles. Definitely worth checking out. That's a really good show. Basically, half the cast of Star Trek: The Next Generation does voices for characters on that show.
Hmm.
Um, uh, Marina Sirtis, the guy that plays Riker, the guy that plays Worf, all do voices on that show. Regulars too, not just like one-offs.
Cool.
Yeah, it's like some of the '90s X-Men cartoon show that is phenomenal. That you absolutely have to see. That was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, really, that just kind of depends on your genre and taste. I mean, there's so many streaming services out. There's so many different styles of shows out.
Mm.
It really just kind of depends on what your mutual taste is, and go from there.
Yeah, and there may be situations as well where like he likes something that you don't, or you like something that he does, and you'd possibly have to watch things separately. I know that you've said invested time with him, so obviously that might be something you might not want to do. But yeah, Disney Plus has got some great stuff as well. If you finish the '90s Spider-Man animated show, there's the 2016 one, which I'm actually watching at the moment. I can't remember where exactly, so about like early season 2 somewhere. That's pretty good. You'll be surprised. I'm not going to spoil the show, but you'll be surprised the characters that pop up in that. It's pretty cool. So that's a good one. There's probably good stuff on Netflix. Would you say Stranger Things? Probably. I can't remember how old he said his son is, or if he's told us.
I don't think he said or he's told. Stranger Things definitely has its place. I think that shows more for adults than kids, just because of how accurate the era setting is.
Yeah.
It being in Middle America in the '80s, and I yes, correct, yes, accurate pretty much throughout the whole seasons. Now that show does get a little intense and a little dark at times, so not saying your kid can't handle it. It's just one of those things that it's best to just know going in and not get shocked by it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but there's a few recommendations there on Netflix and mostly all of Disney Plus. So just have a look out for those. But yeah, that's what we got for you for this episode of Random Gaming Talk. Thank you very much for listening. Please let us know what you're playing. Let us know what you think of what you're playing, what you're looking forward to. Do you have a PS5 or Xbox Series S or X? Yeah, let us know what is going on in your world in terms of gaming. So get in touch and let us know. That would be pretty cool. In the meantime, you can find everything that we do on entertainmenttalk.org. TV, video games, films, and Manchester United podcasts as well. So look out for all of that. If you like what you've heard today and you want to get involved and you want to support what we're doing here on Entertainment Talk, that would be great. We are on Patreon. You can have a look at $1 and $3 level tiers for for ad-free and review options. There is word of mouth. You can simply tell people that you know about the website and the iTunes feeds if you search for Entertainment Talk on your favourite podcast platform. If we're not on your favourite podcast platform, please let us know as well. But please make sure to rate, review and get subscribed so that you get sent new episodes. Social media, you can do the same thing but through Facebook, Twitter or whatever people use these days, or different Facebook groups. Consider using those as well. If you want, speaking of TV and film, if you want your up-to-date reliable TV and film news, David's got you covered over on geektown.co.uk. And of course, if you search for Geektown on podcast platforms, you can subscribe to Geektown Radio and get your weekly news episodes. Those come out on Tuesdays. Look out for a new one later today. It should be released at some point today. Over on the Twitch side of things, speaking of Twitch, which we've talked about in this episode, Beck streams daily over there, over on Twitch. If you search for Trista Bytes, that's Trista, Bytes. Go and follow her over there for all that cool stuff. You can find me as well on Twitch, eTalkUK, streaming lots of different games. I might do a stream tomorrow or on Thursday. Haven't made up my mind yet, but nonetheless, follow that channel and you'll be notified when we go live. And look out for Let's Play Sundays. Thanks very much for listening, and we'll be back next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.